1901, the gardens of the Palace of Versailles. Two Oxford professors go for an ordinary afternoon walk. Minutes later, they find themselves standing in the year 1789. In front of them sits a queen who's been dead for 200 years, sketching in a notebook. 1950, New York, Times Square. A strange man appears in the crowd, dressed head to toe in 19th century clothing. A car hits him. He dies instantly. The business card in his pocket belongs to a man who vanished without a trace 74 years earlier. Year 2000, an internet forum. Someone posting under the name John Titor claims he's from 2036. He answers detailed questions about the future with eerie confidence. And some of what he said still hasn't been ruled out. Did any of this actually happen, or did we all fall for the same lie? In this video, I'm breaking down history's most mysterious time traveler cases, and some of them still don't have a full explanation. Stay until the end, because story number 4 is going to mess with your head. Summer of 1901, Anne Moberly, headmistress of St. Hugh's College, and her colleague Eleanor Jourdain are on vacation in Paris. Nothing unusual, just a visit to the Palace of Versailles. Bored with the main palace, they decide to walk toward the Petit Trianon, Marie Antoinette's private retreat. But somewhere along the path, things start to feel wrong. The trees look flat and lifeless, like a tapestry backdrop instead of real foliage. There's no wind, no shadows. It feels, in Moberly's own words, like walking through a stage set. Then they start encountering people dressed in 18th century clothing. Men who look like palace gardeners point them in a direction. Outside a cottage, a woman hands a jug to a young girl. But the two figures are frozen, motionless, like a wax display. And then, near the Petit Trianon, they see a woman sitting alone, sketching, old-fashioned dress. The moment a tour guide approaches, she and everyone else around her simply vanishes. Years later, doing research, the two women realize the woman they described matches one person almost exactly, Marie Antoinette, guillotined in 1793, sitting in the garden, sketching in 1901. These weren't attention seekers. Moberly and Jourdain were respected academics. One of them ran an Oxford college. They published their account in a book called An Adventure and defended it for the rest of their lives, even under public scrutiny. The Society for Psychical Research investigated the case for years. Proposed explanations ranged from a costume party they stumbled into to heat exhaustion, to a shared delusion between two people. None of them fully fit the details. To this day, it's considered one of the most well-documented time slip cases on record. 1950, New York City. In the middle of the Times Square crowd, a man suddenly appears, dressed in full 19th century attire, complete with mutton chop sideburns and a frock coat. He looks disoriented, almost lost. A moment later, a car strikes him. He's killed instantly. Police search the body. 19th century currency, a letter dated 1876, and a business card reading Rudolph Fentz. None of the items look aged. They look brand new. The NYPD's Missing Persons Bureau tracks down the address on the card. A woman answers the door. She's the widow of Rudolph Fentz Jr. And she tells them something chilling. Her father-in-law, also named Rudolph Fentz, went out for a midday walk in 1876 and was never seen again. 74 years later, the same name, the same face, the same belongings resurface in Times Square, right before he's hit by a car. For decades, this story circulated in magazines and newspapers as a genuine police case. But when researchers traced it back, they found the source. It was lifted from a science fiction short story called I'm Scared, written by Jack Finney and published in Collier's magazine in 1951. Finney wrote fiction, but somewhere along the way, people started treating it as a true crime report. There's one odd wrinkle, though. Some researchers claim that in 2007, a German archive turned up a newspaper article describing a nearly identical event, published a few months before Finney's story came out. That claim has never been verified, and the original source was never located. So the honest answer is probably fiction, but probably is doing some work there. 2010. A YouTuber is watching archival footage from the premiere of Charlie Chaplin's 1928 film, The Circus. In the crowd, an elderly woman walks by holding something to her ear, moving her lips as if she's talking on a phone. The year is 1928. Cell phones wouldn't exist for another 55 years. The clip goes viral almost instantly. Headlines claim time travel finally caught on camera. People zoom in, frame by frame. The object really does look like it's pressed against her ear. Her lips move like she's mid-conversation. Researchers who studied the footage pointed to a much more grounded explanation. Early hearing aid devices from the 1920s were shaped like small horns or tubes held up to the ear, and were used exactly the way she's holding this object. Another theory is simply that she's talking to herself, or fidgeting with something else entirely. There's no fully confirmed explanation, but one thing is certain. It physically couldn't have been a cell phone, because the technology didn't exist yet. Still, the clip remains one of the most shared, unexplained pieces of time travel footage online. November 2000. An anonymous post appears on an internet forum. Greetings. I am a time traveler from the year 2036. Username John Titor. According to his story, he was sent back to 1975 to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer, but due to a calculation error, ended up stranded in the year 2000 instead. His mission? Use the machine to debug legacy code running critical systems in 2036. At first, forum users mock him, but Titor comes prepared. He posts detailed technical drawings and photos of his supposed time machine when challenged on physics, quantum mechanics, parallel universes, relativity. He responds with detailed, internally consistent answers. Then he starts making predictions about the future. Civil unrest begins in the US in 2004. It escalates into a full civil war by 2008, splitting the country into 5 regions. World War III breaks out in 2015, killing 3 billion people. The Olympics are never held again after 2004. In March 2001, he disappears just as suddenly as he showed up. No trace of him has been found since. None of the major predictions panned out. No Civil War, no World War III, but some smaller details, things he said about time-related physics experiments or certain technological developments, are still debated by longtime followers as partial hits. Skeptics point to one detail that always stood out. Titor claimed his time machine was mounted inside a 1967 Chevrolet Corvette. Sound familiar? That's suspiciously close to the DeLorean from Back to the Future. A 2009 investigation suggested the whole thing may have been the work of a Florida entertainment lawyer and his computer scientist brother. But here's the part that actually holds up. Nobody has ever definitively proven who John Titor was. No court record, no confirmed IP trace, no confession. 25 years later, it's still one of the most stubborn, unsolved mysteries on the internet. In the 1950s, an Italian Benedictine monk named Father Pellegrino Ernetti made an extraordinary claim. He had invented a machine capable of viewing any moment in the past. He called it the Chronovisor. According to Ernetti, he used the device to witness historic events firsthand, speeches in the ancient Roman Senate, lost stage performances, and, most controversially, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, which he claimed to have filmed. So where's the device now? Ernetti said that shortly before his death, it was handed over to the Vatican and locked away in its private archives. The only evidence for the Chronovisor's existence is Ernetti's own word. No patent, no technical schematics, no independent witness has ever come forward. The Vatican has never officially confirmed or fully denied that such a device exists. Most of the scientific community treats this as an elaborate hoax, but the story is detailed enough and just plausible enough that it's still taken seriously in certain conspiracy circles today. So, is real-time travel possible? Here's the strange part. Science has already proven a small-scale version of it. It's called time dilation. Someone moving at extremely high speed or sitting in a powerful gravitational field experiences time passing more slowly relative to everyone else. Russian cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev spent 878 days in space, and when he returned to Earth, he had technically traveled a few milliseconds into the future. But the kind of dramatic, cinematic time travel in these 5 stories, someone stepping into the past or arriving from the future with knowledge of what's to come, still has 0 confirmed cases. And yet, the fact that some of these are still not fully explained, that's the part that stays with you. Which one of these do you think is real? Drop it in the comments. Like and subscribe, because next video, I'm covering an even stranger case, and it might be the strangest one on this entire list.